Hello. This is a video on how to play the card game Casino. It's different from any other card game that's really been played, and it's quite fun. And it's one of those fishing card games. And so a fishing card game is where the objective of the game is to capture as many cards as you can. Um, and so we'll get into it. It's quite simple. Um, And honestly, once you get the hang of it a little bit, you'll start to understand the entire game. Um, it was said to be invented in Italy, and it could be played by any number of players, depending, well, not any number. In this case, we're playing with 2 players, but you can play with up to 4, 5 players. And so it is a game that can be played with a larger number of people, which is great if nobody wants to be left out. Um, it's hard to play with more than 4 players though, and so it's best to just play with 2 to 4 players. You also need a pen and a paper to keep score. In this case, the score is kept electronically for us here. But if you're playing in real life, you'll need a pen and a paper to keep score, as well as a 52 card deck. And so when you're dealing, and dealing is essentially handing out cards to start the game, you want to hand out 6 cards to each player. And this is only for the first deal. For every other deal, it's going to be 4 cards to each player. And so 2 cards are then played. And so there's different versions of Casino. In this version, each player will play a card from their hand. And so you're going to play a card from your hand in an attempt to capture cards. Um, and so in the first scenario, we're just going to play cards into the middle, right? Just to start the game off. In this case, let's just talk about what I did there. And so you play cards into the middle, right? Um, and when each player runs out of cards, right? Because each player will eventually run out of cards. Notice how I have 4 cards, and my opponent has 4 cards. The cards you capture, by the way, you set them off to the side. But when you run out of cards, each player is then given 4 cards, and again, this keeps happening again and again and again. And so let's just talk about how you score in this game, right? Well, we'll talk about the scoring after, but let's just talk about how you actually, I guess, how you play this game. And so you want to try to take as many cards as you can, so you can win as many points as you can. And cards are taken by pairing a card from your hand to an equal valued card in the middle. And so if you notice there, right here, a card in my hand, I take a card by pairing a card in my hand to an equal valued card in the middle. A 6, an equal value to 6 is 6, right? 6 equals 6. And so I pair the 6 to the 6 in the middle, pairing an equal value card, and I take that card and capture it. And so what you can also do is you can also build up cards in the middle. And so let's just quickly sum up to this point. We've been talking for about 4 minutes, so let's just talk about what the objective of Casino is. And so for the first deal, you're going to give each player 6 cards, right? And you play cards into the middle. After each player runs out of cards, for every subsequent, after both players run out of their cards, you give out 4 cards to each player, and you continue giving out 4 cards to each player. So that's only for the first deal where you give out 6 cards. The objective of the game. So far, what we've talked about is capturing cards. You capture cards by matching a card of equal value, right? So notice how on that last turn there was a 6 in the middle. I played a 6, 6 equals 6. I captured that card of equal value. Now, what can you do other than just playing a card of equal value? Well, the objective is to capture cards, and so you can actually add cards together and make it equated to their total value, right? And so we're actually just going to keep playing until this happens. And I'll talk about it as we go. And so we're just going to keep playing. Guess we'll take that 3 there. Okay. Beautiful. Did you catch what just happened? He played a 10 to capture the 2 and the 8 in the middle. How could he do that, you ask? Well, remember what I said. You capture a card by pairing a card from your hand to cards. Well, I said card before, to a card or cards in the middle of equal value. He played a 10, and there was a 2 and an 8 in the middle here. 2 plus 8 adds up to 10. And so he played a 10, and he was able to take both the 2 and the 8 from the middle. Why? Because 2 and 8, the total value of those cards is 10. So far we have seen being able to capture cards by either playing a singular card of equal. So you can capture a singular card by playing a singular card of the same value, or you can capture multiple cards by playing a card that adds that is equal to the sum of the values of those multiple cards. One more thing I forgot to talk about is you always have to play a card into the middle, regardless of whether or not you can actually capture a card, right? And so in this case, I can't capture a card, right? There's no 2 in the middle, and there's nothing there. There's no 2 in the middle, so there's no equal card, and there are no I guess set of cards that would add up to 2, right? If a jack and a queen, they don't add up to the number 2, and so we can't even add up a jack and a queen, right? Because no card would. That's 13, and no card would. Sorry, not 13. That's 23, and no card would actually. No card has the value of 23, and so no one card could capture these 2 cards. And so, whenever you're unable to capture a card from the middle, you still have to play your own card. In this case, we still have to play our 2 of spades here, and that's called trailing a card into the middle. And so, whenever you cannot capture a card, you still have to place a card into the middle. If you can capture a card, you capture the card, set it off to the side. Notice what just happened. Both players ran out of cards here, and so both players were reshuffled and redealt 4 more cards. And so we talked about the objective of Casino, right? I'm talking about the objective, not actually how to win. I mean, by following the objective, you will win. But we haven't talked about scoring, and we'll talk about that at the end of the game. And so the objective of Casino is to capture as many cards as you can, either by playing a singular card of equal value, or by playing one card that is equal to the value of multiple cards in the middle. And so, let's just talk about something here. Kings, queens, and jacks cannot be part of a combination, right? And we'll talk about what a combination is. But right now, let's just see if we can play. Well, we can't do that, and so we can play queen for a queen. But like I said, jacks, queens, and kings cannot be part of any combination. And so I was just testing it out there to see if I had that rule enabled, and I did. And so notice how a queen, right? And look, it just gave us this alert. You can't stack them, right? Jack and an ace, you can't stack them. I tried. And so you cannot make a jack, a queen, or a king part of any combination or any set of multiple scoring. You just have to capture them as is, right? So if I have a queen, I can only capture a queen. I can only capture a jack if I have a jack. I can only capture a king if I have a king. And you can also not build combinations on them. And so you not only for face cards can you not capture in multiples, you can't build combinations on them. And so I talked about how you can capture a singular card or capture multiple cards. Now let's talk about how you can capture combinations. And so you can build two different types of combinations during gameplay. One is called a build combination, and the other is called a call combination. And a build combination is created when a card from a player's hand is combined with a card in the middle. And this can only be done if the combined total equals the value of a card in that player's hand. And so you're like, hold up, what did you just say? And so let me elaborate. And so a build is when a card from a player's hand is combined with the card in the middle, once again, and if the combined total equals the value of a card in the player's hand, then this maneuver can be done. And so, okay, perfect. We can do it right here. I was just checking. What I'm going to do here, and you see this 2 here. If I combine this 5 and this 2, I'm going to make what's called a build combination, right? And so I'm going to go ahead and do that. All right, give me a second. Okay, I apologize, but there was a bit of a technical difficulty there. But we're back, and so we were talking about building a build combination. And so, like I said, a build combination is created when a card from a player's hand is combined with a card in the middle. And this is only done if the combined total equals the value of a card in that player's hand. And so, for example, a player can combine an ace from their hand with a 4 in the middle to build a 5 if they also have a 5 in their hand. And so that's exactly what we have there, what we have here. I can combine this ace in my hand, I can combine this ace in my hand with that 4 right there, right? Notice right there, these two are combined. And that's denoted by these cards being full, while these cards are only showing half of each. And so a player can combine an ace from their hand with a 4 in the middle to build a 5 if they also have a 5 in their hand. And so since I also have a 5 in my hand, right, I have many 5s in my hand, but I only need one 5. And so I can build a card, I can add an ace onto this 4, making it 5. And I would say in real life, I would say building 5. I would announce that I am building 5. What this does is it makes it so that these two cards cannot be separated. And so it means that these two cards are built together. The total value of this, 1 plus 4, is 5. And so the value of these two cards is 5. And so when you build, when you make a build combination, you can only make a build combination if the value of the combination you are making is a value you already have in your hand. Note that you can also build on a build. And so the value of this is 5 right now, right? If I had a 10 in my hand, I could put a 5 on this and say building 10, right? Because this would be 1 plus 4 plus 5. That would be 10. And so if I, give me 1 second here. And so notice that, like I was saying, if I had a 10 in my hand, I could say building 10. I could put a 5 here. 1 plus 4 plus 5, that equals 10. I could say building 10. And so you can build any combination provided that the combination you are building is a card you also have in your hand. And so let's say I wanted to do, I don't know, building 9. Let's say I saw this 6 in the middle and I wanted to put a 3 there, right, to build 9. I could do that if I had a 9 in my hand. Similarly, you can build on a build, like I just said, with the 10 example. And so on a build, you can only make a build if the value of the build you are making, you have a card equal to that value in your hand. And note that if you make a build, your opponent can also take that build. And so notice that I built 5 here, but my opponent very easily could have played a 5 and taken that. And so I'm just going to build right there. I took that, right? I took both cards there. And so I've highlighted 3 ways on how to take cards. You can take a singular card. You can take multiple cards, right? And so if I have a 10 and there are 2 5s in the middle, or a 4 and a 6 in the middle, I can take both of them, or I can build a combination. I can do a build combination where I build a combination that is this in which the sum of all the cards in the combination is equal to a singular card in my deck of the same value. And there is also one more combination called a call combination. And so we can't do that right now, and we'll highlight it when it comes. And so for now, we are just going to play the game. And so I'm actually gonna, I can't really do much here, and so I'm just gonna play normally. Oh, and I don't know why I didn't click on that 5, so I apologize. And so, okay, yeah, this is perfect. Perfect example here. A call combination. Now, a call combination is combining cards with an equal value. So combining this 8 with this 8, or combining this 6 with this 6. And you might say, well, didn't we already do that? We were capturing cards by combining cards of equal value. And that's exactly what we were doing, but we were not building a combination. A call combination is when you stack cards of an equal value. And this can only be done if the player still has a card of equal value in their hand. And so a player can add an 8, and this is perfect because this is the example I had envisioned. A player can add an 8 from their hand to an 8 in the middle and announce they are calling 8, right? And so I would add this 8 right here to that 8 in the middle, and I would say calling 8. On the player's next turn, they can take the 8s with the 8 in their hand, right? And so this can only be done if you still have the same value card in your hand. And so I can't just play the 6 on the 6 and say calling 6, right? Because I don't have another 6 in my hand. But I can place this 8 on this 8 and say calling 8. And so that's what we are going to do. And so that's what we just did right there, right? We placed those 8s on that 8. And we said calling 8. Note that if you form a calling combination, the opponent can capture the calling combination as well. Note that now we have our calling combination of 8s here, and so we can capture it, and we'll take both of these 8s right there, as you just saw. And so calling is combining cards with an equal value, provided that you still have one of those cards of equal value in your hand for the next turn, which will allow you to capture the cards in the calling combination. And so you just saw what happened there. I guess it's easier seen than talked about. And one more thing, multiple cards from the middle can be used to create a call combination. And so let's say okay, this is actually hard to get, and I'm going to keep playing until we can get this example here. And I'm looking out for it. Okay, yeah. And so you can also use multiple cards from the middle to create a call combination. And so you can do a build combination and then do a call combination. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build this 3 on this 4, right? Yes, okay, exactly. Beautiful. And so what I was going to do is I was going to put that 3 on that 4. And that was a build right there. A build is the sum of all the cards in the combination. 3 plus 4 is 7. So right here, this is treated as 7. I can then add this 7 onto that 7 and create a call combination. Note that this would only be allowed if I had another 7 to take that 7. And so, beautiful. Look at what we just did there, right? And so, a player is able to play so multiple cards from the middle can be used to create a call combination, and this is beautiful. That is just what happened right there. A player is able to play a 4 on a 3 to build a 7, right? So right here, before the 7 was added, the value of these two cards, this build combination here, was 7. Then on that same turn, you can add that built 7 to a 7 in the middle to create a call combination, right? And so this is exactly what we did. We built a 7 here, then we took that 7 from the middle and added it here. That created a call combination. Now in this call combination, right now we have two 7s. We have this 7 right here, and then we have this 7 right here. Note that with any combination, you can only create it if you have a card able to take the combination. And so with a build combination, you can only create it if you have a card of that equals the sum of the combination able to take it. And so when we made this 3 and this 4, 3 plus 4 is 7. We had a 7 in our hand, and so we can create a combination, a build combination of 7. Then we add the 7 here from the middle, right? Because cards in the middle can be combined to make, in this scenario, make this combination. I guess cards in the middle can be combined to make any combination, provided that you have the card of the required value. And so note that we added the 7 from here. This is creating a call combination, stacking two 7s on each other. We were able to do this because, once again, we have a card of equal value. We have the 7 able to take the call combination. Now we will go ahead and take this call combination there. And so that was a pretty advanced maneuver. Feel free to go back and replay it if you didn't understand. But that's basically, you make a build combination, and then since the build acts as another value card, right? The build acts as one card. You can then make a call combination on top of it. That's the basic essence of it. And so let's just play until all the cards have been played, and then we'll talk about the scoring. And so notice how he moved multiple cards in the middle to create a build combination, and then he just played. And so that was beautiful by him. We're gonna play this ace on. This 8 to create a build combination, and then we're gonna capture it. And so hopefully you can actually understand how to play this. It's quite an interesting game. It's different from any other game that has been shown. And so, well, let's just talk about what happened. And so, the way that scoring works is it depends on the cards that you have captured, right? And so, if you capture the majority of the spades, the majority being more spades than your opponent, you get 1 point. And so I captured 7 spades right here. My opponent captured 6 spades. Since I had the majority of the spades, right, there are 13 spades, and so one player will have the majority. No matter if you have 3 players or 4 players, because 13 is not evenly divisible. And so since I had the majority of spades, I gained 1 point. If you have the majority of cards, 27 or more, depending on, well, in this case we're playing with 2 players, but once again, in this case, it'll be rare that you have a tie. So if you have the majority of cards, even if you have a tie, both players get 1 point. But if you have the majority of cards, you also score 1 point. And so notice how I have 29 cards right here. My opponent has 23 cards. I have the majority of cards. I have more cards than my opponent, therefore I score 1 point. If you have aces, for each ace you have, you score 1 point. And so aces are a fantastic way to score points. Notice how I captured the ace of diamonds, the ace of clubs, and the ace of spades. You get 1 point for each ace captured. And so since I had 3 aces, I scored a total of 3 points for these aces. My opponent only captured the ace of hearts, and so my opponent only scored 1 point for his aces. Let's talk about another thing, the little casino. The little casino is the 2 of spades. It's just called the little casino, also known as the 2 of spades. If you capture the 2 of spades, you get 2 points for that, right? And so some of these cards are quite valuable. The aces are very valuable, and the 2 of spades is very valuable. And so since I captured the 2 of spades, or the little casino, I scored 2 points right here. And so you get 2 points for that as well. Now, if you capture the big casino, also known as the 10 of diamonds, you score 3 points. And so my opponent here captured the 10 of diamonds, or the big casino, right? and he scored 3 points. And so, once again, this is the scoring that I am using. Depending on where you look, there are slight variations to the scoring, but the general gist is the same. The big casino is valued the most, followed by the little casino, followed by the aces, and then you have your the rest of your cards. And so that's how to play casino. In terms of winning, and so you see that every time we do this, we're redealing cards, right? And so in terms of winning, you win when you hit the first player to hit 21 points or more wins. And you're saying, okay, well, that's so much time. Like 21 points, nobody has time for that. If you want to play a shortened version, the first player to 6 points wins the game. Generally speaking, though, it's best designed to play to 21 points, as that lets really the intricacies of the game show. 6 points is just not enough. A player can get 6 points in one round, and so that'll be way too quick of a game, in my opinion, at least. And so if you want to play a longer game, 21 points, play to 21 points. If you want to play a shorter game, play to 6 points. But that wraps up how to play casino. It's actually quite a simple game, right? Like just by looking at it, it's quite a simple game, and it's different from any other game that you may have seen before. But it's quite simple. It's just simple addition and building combinations and seeing cool ways you can capture cards. And so that's it. Thank you for watching, and I hope you learned how to play a fun new card game.